What's up, guys? Iceman here. Welcome to Chilling Tales. Oh, wow. I almost have to just laugh at this hideous bear attack because, as some of you know, humor at times can be the only remedy in terms of escapism when it comes to the most disturbing things in life. Sometimes you just have to laugh at it, at the vanity that the situation is that we all find ourselves in. But one could only be thankful that they weren't in this scenario getting ravaged by a black bear in northern Michigan. So this tale almost pains me to talk about it. This attack took place in my home state, and I've been to the Upper Peninsula many times. I remember seeing bears outside of a little ice cream shop, hanging out by the dumpster. These massive black bears with big, yellow, bacteria-ridden claws. But Michelle and Ryan were a young couple. And they had Ryan's son, Reed, who he had with another chick. Baby mama was out of the picture. Reed was about 8 years old. Michelle was 27. Ryan was 40. All right, bit of an age gap there. Ryan was kind of the washed up type of bad boy-esque kind of guy. He was cool back in the day, peaked in high school, had his rundowns at the law, had a little tether on his ankle for some time. Loved to drink, loved to do drugs, loved to just break the law, be a bad boy. Wear a crooked cap, wear big baggy shorts, big baggy basketball shirt, this, that, and the third. He was a bad boy. And Michelle often would pay for their extravaganzas. And in this case, they decided to go to the Porcupine Mountains, a beautiful place in northern Michigan's Upper Peninsula. All right. They'd walk around up to a ridge and little Reed would look down. Wow, Daddy, look at this. Just see the beautiful falls. You'd hear little birds chirping. Beep, 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 beep. Just flying around, little woodpeckers, little house sparrows, little cardinals, little robins and everything. This attack took place in October. All right, so the birds were getting ready for the vile winter. Michelle was a hard-working chick. Beautiful young woman, no children of her own. Was raised in a really rough house. Her dad had a lot of problems, her mom had a lot of problems. I don't want to get into it, but she kind of had to raise herself. Beautiful young girl. Inside and out. Bit of a bad girl attitude about her, though, and I think that's sort of how her and Ryan met. But nonetheless, she found herself in their relationship taking care of him. They wouldn't live together. He lived at his own apartment, but she'd often help with the bills, help with his liquor, help with his cigarettes, and so forth. But on this vacation, they were told of the bears. All right, and I'm tired of telling the story where people don't listen. Watch these videos, all right? You guys need perspective. You need insight. You need understanding. Shut your mouth and listen. These bears are not to be reckoned with. Even black bears. And that's the perpetrator in this attack. The lodge told him about the pepper spray. They told him about the making noise when you're walking down the trails, and it just fell on deaf ears. All right. Ryan was checking his phone when the DNR officer was telling him about this stuff. Michelle was just anxious to get on the trail. So they started walking down this narrow path. Just a tunnel of trees encompassing it. It was getting close to evening. You could see the sunlight just peering through the trees. Lake of the Clouds was not too far out in the distance. This beautiful lake. You guys got to look it up on Google. It looks like the sky. I mean, that's why they call it Lake of the Clouds. It's amazing. It's along the Porcupine Mountains, along the ridges and forestry and so forth. But they're walking down the trail. And little Reed was getting ahead. Ryan and Michelle were lagging back. Reed was running up. Dad, look! Look, Dad, a black bear! And then he goes running back to Michelle and Ryan. What he saw was a little cublet up in a tree looking for its mom. They don't sound like you'd think they'd sound. They're like, I've heard one before. When I was in the Upper Peninsula, I heard one. Fortunately, nothing came of it. But I heard the baby. It's kind of how they sound. Reed saw that little thing up in the tree. And then he came running back to his dad. Ryan takes him right next to his leg. Calm down, buddy. Come on, let's step back. They started stepping back from the tree. Michelle was terrified. They heard of the stories, you know? They heard of bears protecting their young and so forth. I mean, this isn't generally how it goes with black bears. Generally, the mom will just run up the damn tree with them, but I think in this case, they were between the mom and its cub. Michelle started walking back toward the lodge. Come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. And Ryan just stood there with little Reed at his side. Be like, no, don't worry about it. Let's take a photo of it. Pull out on his phone, try to take a couple photos of the poor little thing. He set down Reed. Reed ran over to Michelle. Hugged her thigh. And they both started yelling to Ryan to come back. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Let's get out of here. And that's when it happened. The bear came out of the woodwork. This ferocious sow. Probably about 400 pounds, this monstrous sow. That was her only cub. It was her last cub. I mean, the other ones were probably eaten by another Bruin. It's been observed many times in the wild that bears will often eat the cubs of a female bear just so it can mate with her again. All right, those little cubs, probably gone. This was her last one. She came out of the wood like this, walking toward Ryan, and stood up on her hind legs and took a massive bow right across his neck. It almost decapitated the bastard. Ryan's little cell phone went flying into the brush. You could hear the crack of his bones. Nearly paralyzed him. His head twisted, his neck kinked. A massive scathe mark across his face and neck. And his body ragdolled onto the ground. He wasn't even able to move, and the mother mounted him like a wrestler. Began digging into him. Just ravaging his body. Just raking its claws. Now Ryan couldn't move. Alright, this bear, I think it broke his neck. You could just hear gasps coming from him. There was nothing like verbally audible. just gasps, gurgles, struggles for breath. As the bear ripped into him. Michelle went running up to it and kicked it. With her little shoe, she kicked the bear in its rib. And it gave out a bellow. And it turned to her and gave a massive swipe. Oh! Now this one just barely caught her elbow because she shielded herself like this when it swiped at her. It barely caught her forearms. And she didn't fall to the ground, but she staggered back with a massive wound across her forearm. And then it went back to Ryan and attacked the hell out of him. Little Reed goes running back to the lodge. Michelle yells at the boy, "Reed, run!" And Reed's just running through the woods. Right? He saw what happened to his daddy. I don't know if he knew the severity of the situation, but nonetheless, he was getting the hell out of there. So he made his way back to the lodge, and somewhere in that, the bear got to Michelle. I don't know if she tried to attack it again, or if it just decided to go for her after it realized Ryan was neutralized. But it attacked the young female human. And it dragged both of their bodies into the brush. About 50 yards out from where its cub was up in the tree. It dug a little cache. Ryan was mangled. Chunks taken out of him. Blood, scathing wounds, abrasions all over his body, his clothes ripped off. Michelle was unconscious. Fortunately, didn't eat any of her. Barely breathing, the girl was half buried in the dirt. Her legs, head, and arms sticking out. It cached them both away and pissed and shat on their bodies. This is what these creatures often do to mark their cache. What's crazy is Reed got a hold of the DNR over at the lodge office. He came running in there just screaming bloody murder, saying his dad was attacked by a bear. His dad was attacked by a bear. And the officers at the lodge called in support or whatnot. And the DNR went rushing out there with their little ATVs, and they scoured the area. They found and when they saw the bear, they went right to the attack site. It wasn't too far from the lodge, and Reed told them which way they all went. The bear was scraping its ass on the pit just like this. You know? I've seen him do that. If you guys don't believe me, look it up. You can see it on YouTube. That's what they do with their caches. They'll scrape their ass all over it. You know how your dog does on the carpet sometimes? This one was going like this. And then they saw the bear doing that. And they shot it while it was scraping its ass on Ryan's face. He gave out a loud bellow. And it fell down to all fours and looked at its perpetrators. And it bluff charged up. And it broke off just before it got to him. But then they shot it again with a shotgun. Spread shot. Bird shot up close. So it's quite devastating up close. It was 10 feet away and they shot it with bird shot with a 12 gauge. The bird shot just spread all through its midsection, its tummy. And it fell to the ground. It just collapsed. And then they gave it a couple more shots and took the thing out. But they found Michelle and Ryan's bodies. And what a hideous sight it was. Michelle had this massive scratch mark across her face, just going across her left eye. She couldn't even open her eye. There was all this like mucus or something, or slime or bacteria all over it. She was partly scalped up on her head when they did the swipe. But they rushed her via medevac to the nearest hospital, and she got her wounds treated. And as much as it pains me to say it, Ryan was dead. He was dead on sight. He probably died somewhere where the bear started eating him, you know? Little baby was up in the tree the whole time. So they shoot the mother, they captured the baby, they took the baby in, they took it to a zoo or something. Michelle was devastated. Little Reed was devastated, obviously. He had to live with his grandma after this attack. And Michelle will never forget it. I mean, she gets to live for the rest of her life with those freaking wounds from this bear. But I'm telling you guys, you got to be careful out there. Bring the pepper spray, all right? Bring the hand cannons if you can. If you can obtain them legally and use them legally. You know? When I was out in the woods, I had a big old stick. Anything. I heard a bear and I grabbed a massive stick. All right? Anything. Be prepared, but let this story be utilized as a reminder to be careful in bear country. And if you guys will, like this video. We got to spread the bear awareness. Subscribe to the page. All right? Become a patron if you want to support the Chilling Tales, and hit the bell so you're notified next time I post a video. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this horrific attack? And does it bring you any perspective? Does it make you maybe want to go out and smell the flowers when you still can? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you all tomorrow with more Chilling Tales from the Iceman.